Welcome to another episode of the Lords of Consciousness videocast. I am your host, Clint-culberson, coming to you from the sunny deserts of Arizona. And I'm really excited for today's conversation. Melanie Beckler from askangels.com, and she has quite the following on YouTube and Facebook and all of her platforms that she has been bringing her work to the world for the last almost 9 years. Correct, Melanie?
Yeah, since 2009 was when I started my current website.
Yeah, and you, why don't we start off by just saying, explaining what your mission has been with Ask Angels and where you've taken it over the last 9 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So I channel the archangels and higher dimensional beings of light and love, and really my core mission that underlies everything that I do is helping people to connect with the higher dimensions of love and light and spirit. I think that for the most part, humanity as a collective has lost touch with our connection to the spiritual realm. And I think that in a lot of senses, that holds a lot of the solutions for where we are now and the challenges that we're facing, that we can be served greatly in reconnecting with our intuition and inner light, and really with what makes each of us unique as human beings. And so I bring through the angels messages for us, and angels are beings of light, but the cool thing is they help us each to reconnect with our own divine light nature that we can then flow through all areas of our life. So I channel angel messages, I have angel cards, I blog, really all kinds of stuff, but I would say it all fits into that container of helping people to raise their vibration with the overarching goal of how do we together raise the vibration of the collective consciousness of humanity, which from my perspective, that is by each of us coming into alignment with who we really are. Before we started, you said, okay, let's go and you do you. And I think that's so key because it really is about you standing in your highest authenticity, me standing in mine. And as every human being does that, truly positive change and transformation happens in our world. So does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah. And,
Cool.
it always brings me back to my childhood, like the Care Bears or the Transformers, it's like, or the
Yeah.
X-Men or, any superhero kind of storyline where, it's each superhero plays a part, but it's the whole, it's the team, it's the, all the Transformers combining to make one big robot in a sense. And it's, that always makes me think of that. And at least liken it to my own childhood and the power that we have together, but it requires each of us, like you said, to really like refine yourself, sharpen your own sword, be the best superhero that you can be. And ultimately when you start meeting other superheroes, man, you start going, dude, we can do some stuff together here, man. This is awesome. So I've really I've been absorbing myself in a lot of your videos and your written words, and you really bring an amazing light to the world, and I think that's why you've had such good feedback, and people have been magnetized towards the work that you've been doing because you're doing it in a really authentic way. And I think for anyone watching this who hasn't delved into your work, I really hope that they join the club of the thousands who are really digging what Ask Angels is doing. And part of this one of the biggest overriding threads through your work is the Ascension process. And I kind of wanted to talk to you and ask you, just define it. What is the Ascension process to you?
Yeah, well, to build upon what you said, even about those being drawn toward the Care Bears or superheroes, I think the reason we're drawn to those types of stories is those are actually archetypes, and they hold little clues to the fact that there is so much more to life in the physical, to just showing up at a 9-to-5 job and kind of slaving away in corporate slavery. We actually each do have our super strengths and gifts and talents and abilities. So that's part of it. is really the human potential movement of humans stepping up into our power as light beings. And then we have this ascension process that is just this magical intersection of time, this current world paradigm we live in now, where humanity and the earth are truly opening to experience the higher dimensions and experience what it's like to live not only in the 3D realm of good, bad, light, dark, physical, tangible, but tuning into the fifth dimension, which is incredibly love, light, bliss, peace, and then also our higher multi-dimensional selves. So to me, ascension is really accomplished through the path of love. And the more that we're able to tune into love, to love ourselves, to love the earth, to love each other, that love acts like a key or a doorway, if you like. Love really opens the pathway for higher levels of light and a higher experience of consciousness to enter in. So we're actually expanding our consciousness to tune in to these higher dimensional bandwidths of awareness that are already here. So in Ascension, we often talk about the new Earth energy, and we're moving to a new Earth. It's not that we're all loading up on spaceships and leaving Gaia, Mother Earth. What's happening is we're tuning in to this higher octave of the Earth energy that's already here, where we are able to cooperate and co-create and live in greater peace and harmony. And for some people, I think on your channel, there might be the initial inclination of like, whoa, like no way that's happening. There's so much chaos and turmoil and struggle in the world. But I would go as far to say that that is a symptom of this transition, because to truly transition as a collective to a higher dimension of awareness and experiencing higher levels of light, it's twofold. And on one hand, it's expanding, opening, truly blossoming into the authentic divine beings we are. But then on the other hand, it's freeing ourselves from the paradigm of control and from this, the whole secret agendas and all these like crazy like science fiction things that are going on in our world that are actually true. And I think so much of the disclosure and peeling back the curtains to reveal these crazy shadows shadowing our human experience are actually a step towards transcending them and freeing ourselves from it. So did that answer the question at all of what Ascension is? So at the core, Ascension is the path of love and empowerment. And the interesting thing is that it's not only happening on the earth, it's happening throughout the cosmos as life force energy continues to evolve and expand and tune into new levels of expression. So we've been in this duality experience and separation experience. What does it feel like to be separated from source, from God, from each other? Now through love, loving ourselves, loving each other, loving the planet, healing, we get to now experience what it's like to come into unity, and through that kind of reconnection, really redefine what life on earth can be like.
Absolutely.
Stepping into the new earth of thriving and co-creating and living in joy and love. And so beautiful. Ascension, it's super exciting what's going on.
Your answer like literally could be the mission statement of our channel here at Lords of Consciousness. And it's, we cover a wide variety of topics, and sometimes my own family will be like, dude, you're doing way too much of the conspiracy stuff, get back to some of the light stuff. And I try my best to kind of weave in and out of it all, because I do believe it's telling I'm trying to, I guess, paint a picture with all the guests that I have come on here, paint a picture of this reality that, we have been living in a world of duality, as you mentioned that word. And it's like you said, this is the great unveiling. We're finally like pulling back the curtain and really seeing what's been going on. And it's been there's some real ugly stuff, and also especially what you're uncovering is, holy cow, man, this is really beautiful, actually. And what the potential that we have is far greater than we ever even imagined. And so it's kind of this, it's kind of a double-edged sword in terms of what's being unveiled. I kind of wanted to ask you about this concept of duality, and as we move into a new Earth and in this new paradigm of ascension, collective ascension, planetary ascension, galactic ascension, the whole deal. What does this mean for our future? I mean, it seems like the laws of the universe there's always some opposing force that is needed in terms of, I don't know, generating this progression that we're going through. I mean, are we headed towards, what does it mean to live in a world of non-duality? I mean, are we just going to be blissed out, and are we going to get bored? Or, I mean, sometimes I try to envision this and picture what it will be. And I'm curious what has come through you and your channelings and the work that you've done. How do you see this new paradigm that we're entering into?
I really, and I think something to consider is that we're opening to the higher dimensions of experience. That doesn't necessarily mean we're leaving behind the physical, tangible world of experience. It's more like we're building upon it. So if that's the base, then we're able to experience these higher levels. I do think that a lot of the very old paradigm things like war and destruction and manipulation, that these are kind of old chapters, the old stories that we can move away from. Which, your question is really good. Like, what would a world look like without that? And to me, I don't think that we would get bored. I think it really would ignite a opportunity for creativity, for creating on a whole new level. If we're not if we're not reacting to challenges, and rather just creating what's in our hearts, really relaxing, allowing the higher levels of light in, allowing higher levels of inspiration in. I think some of the things that come to mind to me are creating new sacred sites, bringing forth new technologies. And in my perspective, a part of this ascension is interwoven with technology. I'm not someone who's like, oh, technology is all bad. I think a lot of okay, so we can see a future where there's instant healing and instant manifestation. I think on one hand, that comes from within, from clearing emotions and truly aligning with our core light. But then on the other hand, there are incredible healing technologies and things coming forth that we're able to tap into. So I think it's not that there's never going to be challenges again. It's more just clearing out and evolving beyond this control mechanism and humanity being manipulated, to where then humanity, we're able to step into our true power as sovereign beings. So rather than being seen on the global scale as insignificant little ants needing to be controlled, it's like, what can we really create and accomplish and shine forth and build on this earth? And by build, it's not like these cities disconnected from earth. It's really in communion and co-creation with the planet. As the earth becomes more crystalline and solar, and we become more crystalline and solar, there's new chapters being opened up for weaving energy and creating in that sense. So there's still, to me, there's still challenges, and maybe that's just because I'm still in this 3D bias and perspective, but it's just how we're able to deal and overcome challenges that in a much more empowered, heart-centered, and connected way, where we're tackling problems together rather than totally self-centered and egocentric. Like, is this only going to benefit me and my close-knit circle? I think if everyone begins to act more serving in alignment with the highest interest of all, how we experience challenge changes. So it's not that there's no challenge, it's just that that experience of challenge changes because we have access to higher tools. I mean, even at this point now in my life, having access to the angelic realms, having access to simple things like crystals or sage or ways to clear my energy,
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer as affected by negativity as I used to be. Like there was a time when I was super depressed and I had no way to get out of it. Now it's like something shakes me and rocks me off my center. Okay, I know what to do. Meditate, go within, center my energy, anchor the light, and I'm back. So overcoming challenges becomes easier as we continue to integrate more of our higher light. And as we continue to work through our own past challenges and shadows, really, where I think a lot of our power resides is hidden in those aspects of ourselves that have been pushed away, whether that was in childhood through some emotional wound or physical trauma. That inner child gets pushed out. Well, what does it look like when we invite that playful, joyous inner child back in? Like most kids at some point anyway aren't aware of the big atrocities in the world. They're not bored, they're fired up, they're excited to be here to experience and live. And to me, that's the new earth energy, is that playful, joyful, just bliss of getting to experience life as not only a physical being, but physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, higher dimensional, all at once, simultaneously as multidimensional beings. To me, that's the most exciting thing. And I don't think there is a big shadow character needed to make that interesting.
Yeah, I love that. One of my favorite parts about your message is, someone who calls himself a channeler. You are so well grounded, and I love that. And it's something that's really refreshing because I believe, in my experience, many people that spend a lot of their energy or have that life calling in the galactic, in a sense, whatever you'd call that, in the cosmic, in the beyond 3D. And I really do believe there's something very essential, and I think many people have that gift. The cool thing about you, I will say, Melanie, is that like I said, you always bring it back to this real grounded earth experience still, and I commend you for it, because I think that sometimes we can disconnect from it. And, I see a lot of energy workers who feel like they're not of this planet, and it's like they feel like they're in the wrong spot, and it's like, no, you're not. You're here, man. So of course you're not in the wrong spot. You're here for a reason, and you're here to bridge that connection between this earth and that which is even that transcends this planet. And I commend you for that. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is, as we talk about the earth, how does the ascension process of humanity, from an individual level to the collective level, correlate with the ascension process of this planet and the Earth's own ascension process that it is undergoing? And what information do you have on that?
I think an interesting way to look at it is looking at the Earth as a spiritual, multidimensional being, just as we each are physical, spiritual, and multidimensional beings. So I've always received and felt that the earth is ascending along with us. So just as you're ascending and I'm ascending, and then when we come together, we can kind of trade codes and notes and light and energy and both progress further. To me, this is the same thing that is happening with the earth. So the earth is ascending. So we as humanity get an immense benefit in spending time with nature. A huge part of my spiritual practice is walking the earth. I hike miles every day, just getting out in nature and just tuning into the natural world, the trees, the sky, the air, the earth. And the earth has healing energy, has light, rebalancing, and a way of triggering inspiration for us as humanity. Now, the same way is true as humanity ascends. There is help that the earth needs on her path in clearing out toxins and areas of destruction, and even just being acknowledged and loved. One of the practices I kind of spontaneously started doing when I was hiking is just sending forth a blessing to the earth around me from my heart. Thank you. I love you. May you be well. Blessings. If you try that, if you do that, if you send a blessing to the earth, I can almost guarantee, and especially if you're sensitive, you'll notice this wave of blessing back upon you. And I think um, the new consciousness, the energy of the new consciousness, can really be seen as this energy of blessing. When we send blessings to ourselves, we're able to open up more. When we send blessings to the earth, her energy is able to open up more. And a big part of allowing the ascension light in, which is streaming in from the sun, from the earth, through each of our hearts, is just relaxing and letting it in. And one of the best ways I know how to relax is getting out in nature. So to me, it really is tied together. I've heard people say, oh, if humanity's wiped off the face of the earth is going to be fine. Okay, well, maybe there's some truth to that. But we're both here at this exact intersection of time by no mistake. Just as we need the earth to ascend, the earth, Gaia, the soul of the earth, needs humanity to ascend for her as a multidimensional spiritual being to reach the next level of awareness and consciousness. So it is directly tied. And then it's even tied beyond that to the solar system and the galaxy and even our star brothers and sisters to get way out there. For them to reach the next level, humanity has to ascend. And this is a part of why there's so much galactic interest on the planet at this time, is because it's all interconnected. God, source, universal life force energy is fractalized out into all of creation, meaning that God force energy is present in everything, but also it's so interconnected and tied, and that cause and effect really is happening on a multidimensional scale. So it's totally connected in my perspective.
Yeah, the drop is in the ocean, and the ocean is in the drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just ripped my headphones out.
Hey man,
All
it
right,
was
you're
that
back.
good.
Yeah.
A lot of people who talk about the new Earth say that we're headed towards an event. Okay, that we're headed towards this. I don't know. It's not necessarily just a linear progression. Some sort of, like you said, flash, like exponential growth on the curve. Like, I don't know, maybe one day, literally, it's significantly different than the next. Do you see that? Is that what we're headed towards, or do you see this more as a linear growth that we're currently on right now?
I think it's kind of in between those two things, and I'm definitely familiar with this. There's quite a few people talking about the event, the solar flash, this point in time when the ascension happens. And I think while on one hand, the idea of that is incredibly exciting, it's also disempowering, and it kind of puts us in this position of, oh, okay, ascension's going to happen on May 14th, 2020. I don't actually have to do anything until then. Okay, I'll just keep doing my thing and wait for ascension to happen. I have seen in my meditations and visions this kind of visual, though, of this massive light stream kind of triggering us to the next level. But the interesting thing is that's already happening. There's something with every equinox for the past 5 years, I've been noticing these surges of light that come in at an increasing frequency and level. So
2012?
Yeah. So with 2012, so this was one of the original events, right? When we thought we're going to wake up the next morning and everything's going to be totally different. So many people woke up the next morning and said, okay, nothing changed. But for a lot of us, it did change. There was a new level of light accessible. And so I think, yes, there are going to continue to be events and influxes of light. And then the more people who anchor that and tune into it and start to ride those currents, there's also the tipping point of collective consciousness, because as humans, we are all connected. As a big group of humanity really starts to tune into the higher frequencies, other people who were naturally opposed to it or just not interested at all suddenly begin to feel it and have spiritual experiences.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I'm already seeing so much from when I started. My parents or friends who were very solely in 3D, not really interested in the realms of spirit at all, have started messaging me now. I had this crazy experience, a light flashed before me. What does it mean? And I'm like, oh, awesome. Welcome to the party. It means you're here. It means you're tuning in to these new levels of light that are already happening. So honestly, I don't know if we're going to have a massive point of shift. I do know that if we are leading up to it, there's going to continue to be micro points of shift. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel intuitively and in my heart that it's going to more be that way, surges of light happening over time rather than one massive event. But
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm open, and like I said, I haven't really gotten a clear yes, this shift is going to happen. And I think that's because the shift really already is happening. And so,
Undeniably.
yeah, so there's just so much power in just tuning into it now, letting that light in, and this idea of the new earth, the new paradigm, it really is already here. I know for myself and so many others, like there's this new level of joy and ease and co-creation and flow that's already here. Yes, there's hardship in the world, but I think one of the ways that we can address that hardship is by vibing up ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
raising the vibration of our own life, and that has an overflow effect. So yes and no on the big
Yeah.
shift point. Yeah.
Do you see, maybe even in our own lifetimes, uh, human potential and even the natural world's potential evolving into something that we wouldn't even recognize right now, even in our own lifetime? Can you see human potential achieving something that's like beyond our event horizon in our lifetime? And again, even the natural world. I mean, are we headed towards where the Bible calls it like the lion will lay down with the lamb? I mean, is this the new earth as well, or do you still think that it will be very similar to what we have, but just we are vibing higher. We're living more harmoniously within the system. It's not survival of the fittest; it's survival of the most cooperative, that kind of thing.
Well, I think that already, if you look back over history, the rate of change is accelerating. And so, as a part of the ascension process is also that time is accelerating. So, if time and change are both accelerating, I think that absolutely we're going to see so much advancement and progression, both on the technology side and the intellect side. But what's most exciting for me, I think, is on our intuitive capacities, on the unlocking the capacities we have in our physical vessels
Mm-hmm.
by bringing more of our light and higher dimensional awareness into the physical, actually activating new strands of our DNA, becoming fully realized human beings. I think there is so much that humans have the capability to do that's just untapped, that we've seen glimpses of through stories, through myths,
Mm-hmm.
through fables, through avatars. So that avatar level of consciousness returning to us is not only about tuning into these incredible blissful experiences in meditation, but it is about unlocking these possibilities for us in our physical bodies. So
Mm-hmm.
does that look like levitation, teleportation? Like, I don't exactly know. I think all of that is possible on when we as individuals continue to ascend, evolve, and open, and then the collective consciousness
Mm-hmm.
holds for the possibility for that. So I
Yeah.
think, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I can levitate, but everyone around me like, no, that's not possible. That can kind of block it out. So I think when everyone gets to that, like, yeah, levitation, then that is when it really becomes possible.
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely. I think within our lifetimes, I've always said, like, from the time I was a child, I can't wait to see like what reality is like when I'm like 85, because I do think it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be vastly different from what is possible for us as humans to what our cities look like, to what our food production looks like. I do see this golden era, this
Mm-hmm.
golden age as being a time of mass revolution where so much comes back into alignment with balance with the earth, with co-creation, with harmony,
Mm-hmm.
and it's super exciting. And it starts small, and it starts one step at a time. It starts with each person getting in touch with, how can I be of service? What can I do? What's one step I can take to make the world a better place? If we focus on that rather than arguing about what date the event is going to happen, I think we're going to align with that tipping point and truly positive change much faster.
Yeah.
There are, I don't know if you know much about like timelines, or in true infinite possibility, there's infinite timelines. And this has been my experience when we go, right, if I choose to go to the farmer's market this Sunday, there's a reality where I didn't go. And I can kind of look at that reality where I didn't go to the farmer's market. So so the future is not predetermined. It's
Mm-hmm.
up to our individual choices. And when we keep choosing to be of service, to make a difference, to claim our empowerment, to raise our vibration as individuals, the trajectory of humanity aligns with that highest possibility. And so setting intentions, taking action, and really like choosing to steer each of our own lives in the direction of what is high vibrational, what's fulfilling, what's rewarding, what's joyful, then humanity begins to follow that trajectory. And that's, to me, that's a part of how we get to choose ascension, is through our own life, and then through shining our light and message in the world and getting people to align with that highest trajectory as well.
Absolutely. And I think what you just said correlates really well with the work that Rupert Sheldrake has done on morphic resonance. And what that is, the rats in Japan who learn how to do something, if a certain amount of them eventually learn how to do it, then very quickly thereafter, throughout the world, something gets all connected to all the rats in the world, and they all learn how to do it as well. And it's something that's been documented and shown. I mean, I suppose it's the 100th monkey theory. And it's like you were saying, if enough of us, we get some sort of momentum, and you can even see it in the business world, like a product that builds, and then it gets to a certain threshold, and then it just floods the collective consciousness, in terms of adaption, whatever technology it could be, or it could be some silly game, I mean, we've seen that 100 times over in our own lifetime of consumerism. That same concept can even apply, I believe, to this idea of human potential. I mean, I think if enough of us just realize what we could do on this planet, really, truly what our potential is, and then enough of us start to realize that in our individual lives and smaller communities, and then larger communities thereafter, then it will just spread like wildfire. The realization of the effectiveness of this way of being, especially when we're talking about living symbiotically with this planet as opposed to trying to fight against it. And like you've mentioned several times, these old paradigms that no longer serve us, and honestly no longer serve our survival on this planet if we want to keep going. And
and to me that old story is what's boring. It's like
mm-hmm.
a bad B movie. Let's get to the good stuff. And the other thing that popped into my mind when you mentioned Rudolph is the Heart Math Institute is the other group that's doing some really interesting research about the power of the heart. And when one person is in love, in joy, other people around them, their hearts want to come into that same coherent wavelength state of
mm-hmm.
love and joy. So that's how that ripple effect can happen. So I see like awakened heart lights, people whose hearts are on and who are in their joy and bliss and power and connected to their light. as pillars of light all around the planet. And together we're making this grid of awakened hearts, just truly raising the vibration of the planet, which
Hmm.
I think science is proving that this is actually happening. And
Yep.
each additional heart that tunes on, that path and process accelerates.
Yeah, and it goes along perfectly with one of your big works is meditation, and really what is the
Yeah.
potential of group meditation, collective meditation, and there's been studies done by it already about the power of collective meditation, and it just makes me wonder what as again more and more people are able to finally quiet themselves, actually go inside of themselves, and then we do this on some sort of concentrated intention collectively. Gosh, man, I start tripping out at what's possible and what we eventually will become. I mean, a lot of science fiction portrays advanced civilizations as the real advancements that they go to are the power of the mind and the power of our souls and we shall see, and I think it's going to be, we can all feel that something is over the event horizon that is just glorious. Okay. We can all kind of even make predictions and make, have our ideas of what it looks like. But what my life has taught me is when it finally comes to pass, whatever you've envisioned for your life, it's always better than you can even imagine. And it's more nuanced and more like detailed and rich, and sometimes it also is like there is that element of like it has a painful element to it too, but man, it's so worth it, man. It's like my friend always says, the juice is worth the squeeze, and I'm really
Yeah,
excited
I love that.
I'm really excited for this path we're on. I wanted to kind of turn the page and ask you, your thoughts on who Jesus Christ is, and what is the difference between the man himself who lived 2,000 years ago and Christ consciousness, and maybe you could kind of delineate between that and who is Christ to you?
Yeah, so I have a very, very personal relationship with both who I consider to be the ascended master, Christ, who is an incredible, evolved, multidimensional spiritual being, and then also Christ consciousness, which is that same incredible avatar like, unconditional love, powerful, magical consciousness that Jesus Christ, the man who walked on earth, embodied. We're all able to tune in to that as well. So I think a lot of the religious teachings about Jesus Christ have been, whether they were however they were originally intended, have had the adverse effect of being disempowering, of getting a lot of people to look at, okay, Jesus Christ is the man, he has all the power. Where I think if you really dive into his message, the message there is that we all have that same power that is Christ consciousness, that is awakening to our higher levels of awareness, awakening to our higher potential as human beings, what we were just talking about, of being able to truly receive the direct light and presence of God, divine source, to embody it, to shine it forth, and to flow it through everything we do. So I know it is a bit controversial. I personally do feel like the archetype, the character, Jesus actually did live on earth, that story did actually happen, that he actually did ascend. But I feel like that is a example, an archetype, and a sign as to the possibility that we now have to do the same. And there's been many other ascended masters throughout history. Buddha, Kuan Yin. I mean, Mary Magdalene is a very unknown, fully ascended master. She did the same journey as Jesus of fully embodying her Christ consciousness, ascending into full awareness, full light, full knowing, full power, bringing the full divine potential into the human vessel. And I think the unique thing about humanity is our potential to tune into this Christ consciousness source level awareness, and to truly anchor that through our lives. So good question.
Yeah. Well,
I've never been asked that one before, but
well, it's an important one, because I think many of us have come from Christian religions. I mean, I can say for myself, coming from Mormonism, and I've always had a connection to Christ. Like, his story always touched me deeply. I mean, it's undeniable. I've had spiritual experiences as a Mormon, and many of those were through the love and light that Christ brought to the world. His stories of turning the other cheek, or let he with no sin cast the first stone. I mean, God, these kind of truisms that he brought to the world are just undeniably beautiful. Him washing his disciples' feet. That kind of, it's like, oh man, the wisdom and the sheer beauty in that alone is just. I mean, it's always been something that's touched me. I think where I personally have struggled is kind of this, always looking for like this external savior, and yeah. So it's funny, because as I go down these rabbit holes of understanding like how the world's been controlled, and this controller aspect, I can almost see why there would be this focus, like how the life of Christ would then be flipped on this external savior complex, where it's, you don't got to do nothing, just believe that he's the guy and that's it. And what I find is, like, we get so lost in most of modern Christianity gets so lost in that aspect, where we sit here and fight over the intricacies of who Christ is, as opposed to just be the version of Christ within you. I mean, isn't that what Christ consciousness is? Is like, be Christ. Yes, he is the way, the truth, and the light. But
you are that. You are that. It's not. Yeah, it's not someone who's here to save you. It's just someone who showed you what was possible for you to embody. But also, as a spiritual being, Christ is someone who I call upon, who has an incredible gift to continue to share, an incredible support. He did walk this path from duality into mastery, and is more than willing to help each of us along this journey. And yeah, what you were saying about religion and growing up religious, I totally can relate to that as well. I grew up very super religious also, and I think that has been an influence on my work for sure, because my most vivid, powerful, meaningful experiences with Christ came at a point when I let go of a lot of the religious dogma and should do this, shouldn't do that, and just started looking within. And then it was like, oh, whoa, not only is Christ real, but the true meaning and power and lesson has been a little convoluted in what you were saying, the savior complex, whereas there's so much power in just us each really tuning into our light and shining it forth and stepping into our truth as Christ consciousness, as divine beings in physical form.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure there's someone watching this now that's thinking you and me are going to burn in hell, but ultimately it's like, we shall find out. And honestly, if Christ comes back, great. I would love for someone to come down from the heavens and kick all this evil off the planet and clean it up quick. That'd be fine with me. I mean, if that's the path, if we really are headed for an event, then awesome. But ultimately, I feel like we have to live our lives as if it really does depend on us. Us as the creators of this, us as co-creators of this reality. Are we we are fully participating in our own enslavement here, and we also have that ability to remove the shackles. No one's going to come remove it for us. I mean, maybe, but ultimately, I do believe the person who removes the shackles is ourselves. And I want to ask you, how can we build a bridge from what you were talking about, how this vision that you've created of who Christ is, how can we build that bridge between what you're saying and also traditional Christianity, so that there isn't this rift between, like I don't want to say New Age, but I hate labels. I hate labels, but
Yeah.
this I guess more new way of looking at Christ and the traditional way of looking at him, so that there isn't this like, you guys are, the devil has you, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and like on that note, it's really interesting because even within my own experience, so I channel the archangels,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm Archangel Michael and
Mm-hmm.
Archangel Raphael. I even have taught a Jesus healing process. So what's really interesting for me is there are some super religious people who are still very active in Christianity and in Christian churches who love it,
Mm-hmm.
who see how the angels fit into religion and it works for them. And then on the other side, there are people who say, you're not directly reading from the Bible. This is heresy, and
Mm-hmm.
which really means true. But anyway,
Yeah.
um,
Well, a lot of people
who
would say
just
you have a demon has possessed you. With I mean, there
yeah.
are
So
people that would say that.
on one hand, there are people who believe what I do is demonic, is not in alignment
Mm-hmm.
with the Christian teachings. But then there is another group who sees it as prophecy, and one thing growing up in religion that always got to me was the people who wrote the Bible received direct revelation from God, direct guidance and knowledge and wisdom from God, and put it into writing, and this is the ultimate truth. How could that not continue to flow forth today?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
You didn't hear he
wait,
stopped? He said, "No more. I'm
yeah,
done."
okay, you're on your own. You're on
I
your own.
left you the book, all right? I'm on vacation.
But to actually answer your question, I think that it really just is about each person doing their work in the world. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you actually here to do? I'm reaching an audience, some people who are Christianity, some who aren't, but every person who shines their light in the world, like all of our messages are needed, all of our light is needed. And it's about this interwoven tapestry. It's about each of us coming into our power and reaching different people. And it doesn't have to be making YouTube videos or
Mm-hmm.
writing a blog. It could just be how you live your life. And if you're listening to this and you are deeply integrated in the Christian church, and it works for you, like that's not a bad thing. How do you be an example of tolerance? How do you, I think one of my biggest challenges is I think some of the most intolerant and judgmental commenters I have on YouTube are involved in Christianity. And it's like that, it comes down to like, what would Jesus do? Literally, like,
Mm-hmm.
um, respond with love, be compassionate, shine your light. So I do think religion is going to continue to evolve and morph, and I think it works for some people, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're happy in your religion, and I think the other thing is there's the community aspect of it, why a lot of people enjoy it, and it's like if what you're doing in your life is working for you and you're happy and you're thriving, great. There's no need to change. You don't have to come visit my website. You don't have to watch this video. I think we're speaking to people who are looking for more. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the people who find my work have grown up in religion, have a religious background, maybe even still go to church. And they're like, I'm learning about this. I'm learning about Jesus. I know about the angels, but I'm not feeling it. I want more.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think I have this interesting gift through the meditations and angel messages I create, is giving people real, intimate, profound spiritual experiences. And so it's like let's not just talk about spirituality. Let's not just talk about Christ. Like, let's go meet him. And it's like, whoa, amazing. It leaves you completely unchanged and completely changed, recharged, and reinvigorated when you have that real spiritual experience. And once you expand your consciousness away from this is the one book to read from, this is right, this is wrong, and have a little bit more openness and observe and use your own discernment with any teaching, with anything I say, or with what you read in the Bible, or with what you watch on YouTube. Use your discernment. Is it helpful? Does it uplift you? Does it empower you? Does it inspire you? If not, maybe let it go. Don't fight it. When we try to fight something, we give more energy towards it. Take what works, take what excites you and inspires you, and leave the rest. And so really I think it's just about, as more and more people awaken, that ripple effect, it is happening. The transition is happening, and we're all at different points in our physical lives, on our soul journeys. And there are some people, I believe some souls, who are here to have that experience within religion. Sometimes we're here to have challenging experiences, but we learn from that and we grow and evolve and ultimately reconnect with what is most important to us and with why we're really here. Why are we really here? That comes from inside, that comes from asking, how can I be of service? From paying attention to what excites you and inspires you, because I do feel like we each have an important soul life purpose and mission. But the most amazing thing is that what our work is exactly what inspires us and fulfills us and excites us. It's meant to be fun. So letting go of a lot of the control mechanisms and judgments, and just kind of being free, the free humanity to being free to be who we really are as light beings, exploring and expressing and playing in the physical.
And this idea of us as one family, and not that doesn't mean that we're all the same, okay? And that's one thing that I think we have to be real careful about when we say we are one. Well, yeah, we're one, but man, we are all unique. We all have our own color. I mean, literally, I think each of us have a shade of color that no one else on this planet has. I mean, you and the rainbow is incomplete without your addition to that, to the whole. One of the things that I really like to speak out against in any of the work that I do is this idea of absolutism, and we've come from a world of that. That's part of this duality complex of always, never, only. It's like, careful with that. I mean, I think we should all be real careful about absolutism and the idea of there's only one path. If I was going to ask you, we're going to probably run out of time, but I was going to ask you about crystals as a spiritual tool. And one thing I find is people have tools, right? Like tools that they use, and there's so many tools. There isn't literally even enough time in the day for you to use all the tools. There just isn't. I mean, we only got 24 hours in a day. I mean, all the tools that people use out there for their own, to create greater awareness within their world, or to rebalance them, or to center them. There just literally isn't enough time for us all to use them. And I feel like so many people, even in the new age world, get caught up on like, my tool's the best. And this is, if you're not doing psychedelics, then you're missing out, or if you're not using crystals, well, then you don't get it, that kind of thing. And I think we have to be real careful with that. And whether that be tools or religions or whatever, I mean, we got to quit the team game. It's okay that we play in certain realms, but realize that your job within that realm is to bridge to all the other tribes of the world. I mean, I really believe that this is the time on Earth where the tribes get to be connected, and we get to see each other for our differences and for. I mean, thank goodness we're different. God, it's like it would be terrible if we were all the same. I mean, to me, that's actually like the New World Order model, is like us being this, like, more of this factory style. Like what globalism has done is we're all eating at McDonald's. We all have to wear the same clothes. We all have to listen to the same music. Forget that. I really love the richness that the world brings.
I think that's such a great point, that unity consciousness is not all about being the same. In fact, to truly tune into this perspective of unity consciousness, it requires us each to first master our divine individuality. So there's this required stepping away from the societal programming, from, okay, you need to fit into one of these 5 jobs and do it well. And our education system is really programming people. So it's about freeing ourselves from the programming, peeling back the layers to reveal what is really unique and inspiring about each of us as individuals. And then all of those unique individual lights join together to create one group consciousness, one unity consciousness, where we're aware of the perspectives of others, being empathetic, being open to the creations of others, being able to witness the creations of others without judgment, without needing to try to be the same or even needing to compare, being able to be like, I love the work you do, interviewing people and getting messages out, but that doesn't mean I have to do it. You're already doing that. So what can I do that's different and unique and powerful to contribute to the whole? So yeah, I think you're totally right. And that's not at all how I see unity consciousness, is we all need to be the same. Rather, we all need to be empowered and different and authentic as individuals. When we have that, then we're able to unlock the higher levels of awareness and experience, where there's so much magic, there's so much to explore and bask in. And the most amazing thing is connecting with the higher dimensional aspects of ourselves and our guides and angels, or connecting directly with Christ. It feels amazing. There is like no drug that can even compare. There's no side effects, it recharges you and reconnects you. Like, it's truly amazing. So I think for people who feel like there's something missing, look within, because there's that saying, we have everything we need inside us. And that's totally true. Not to negate the fact that other teachers and way showers and leaders can help us find those golden nuggets and pearls and keys and frequencies within us and kind of unlock them.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautifully said. We're running out of time, but do you mind if I just go with one more thing? Do you have the time?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I really wanted to. This is great conversation. Thank you so much. And one of the things that I really wanted to ask you about was, and we'll kind of switch gears, but what are starseeds for those who really? I mean, and I've played in this world and have an idea, but I would really love to get your get your idea on what are starseeds. People have probably heard that term, and I think it's a term that's becoming more prevalent in even in the conspiracy world. I'm starting to see more of like the starseed concept that like coming into play, and I really like you to be able to speak to that.
Yeah, great question. So I think the place to begin answering this is, and I can't remember the exact quote, but really, if you look scientifically at what our bodies are made of, we are literally made of stardust. The same elements that are found in the stars are in our bodies. So on one hand, we all have ties to the stars in that very physical sense. But to me, what a starseed is someone who is open to remembering that they may have had lifetimes and experiences off of planet Earth, and whether they're past, future, alternate, happening simultaneously, having higher selves or aspects of self, some sort of awareness of life in a place other than planet Earth. When I kind of first heard of this idea of people remembering having lifetimes off Earth, I was like, awesome, that's me. Like, I just immediately resonated. And so I think this is what is happening, why the idea is gaining so much momentum, because we're at a point collectively as humanity, where our experience with the stars, with the galactics, is action and relationship is being remembered. And a part of that is, as individuals, we're remembering that we have been that we've lived in other planets, lived in other ways. We've lived on planets that have more duality and hardship and challenges than Earth. And we've had those experiences of being light beings, just floating around in spirit, being stars. Heart level, we remember, we know there's more. It goes back to that thing of resonating with superheroes, of wanting to fly. We want to fly because we remember lives when we have been able to fly and how magical it was. And so I think everyone has connection to the stars. Star seeds are just those who are open to remembering that connection, open to the possibility that they've been a Pleiadian or a Lyran or a Sirian, and kind of consciously choosing to invite back those memories and remembrance. And then really, why are star seeds here? Why are highly evolved beings from other planets and dimensions incarnating into Earth on the physical? Well, we're here to raise the vibration of the planet. Many of us have gone through the ascension process before on other planets and volunteered to be here, to be a way shower, to help those who haven't gone through that journey make it a bit easier, to shine light, to make a difference. Starseeds all have missions, and it just goes back to that authenticity. Why are you really here? You don't have to be a starseed to be a light worker, but most are. There's a big overlap there of the people who are really leading the way in let's reconnect with light and with the higher dimensions. Most of us do have past, parallel, prior, future life experiences where we have been those galactic star beings.
Do you think then there are non-star seeds on this planet?
I think there are, but I think there are very few. I do feel there are some souls who originated, their first soul experiences were on the earth. I think in like the Aboriginal cultures, I think some of those people, just based on intuition I've received, actually, and even in the Native American traditions, some of those beings have not had off-life planets. And so they have an even deeper connection with the earth and the wisdom of the earth that's available. But I do think that most of humanity at this time have been seeded from the stars, have starseed DNA, have alien DNA, if you want to call it that, interwoven into who we are.
So do we come to this planet for an experience, or is it some sort of prerequisite for our higher self's, spiritual journey? I mean, obviously this is a humongo topic, but it's like, are we here as it for an experience, or are we here as a step in our journey?
I don't think it's a prerequisite, because there's so many different journeys and so many different paths. So there's many souls who never come to Earth. They ascend on other planets and then continue on in their journey. So yeah, I think we come here to experience, to witness, and to grow. There is an incredible amount of growth that is possible through undertaking the ascension journey, through going from feeling limited, feeling manipulated, feeling abused, to truly being empowered. And so we're here to gain all of the key codes and awareness and power and light from that transition. And then as starseeds, I do really feel we are also here to help pave that pathway for people who are less aware, so within starseeds also, I think there's varying levels. Soul age to me is not about how many lifetimes you've experienced. Oh, you're 547 because you've had 547 lives. Soul age is about the experience you've accumulated. So age actually being a good thing because it means you've learned and integrated shadow and integrated light and come into wholeness to where you can really assist. And so there are highly evolved star seeds who are coming here to make a difference, to pave the pathway, to shine a light, to truly tip the scale. And then there are star seeds who are coming here more for the experience, more to experience the duality, even to experience challenge, to learn. So it's kind of all over the spectrum. Even like star seed, if you're a star seed, it doesn't automatically mean you even fully ascended. You could be a very young soul who is just really beginning to learn these lessons, and you're here for that experience. So on one hand, I think there's star seeds who are really here to be way showers and leaders and teachers, and there's others who are here for the ride and the experience and the thrill of being alive in the physical, in a state of forgetting everything, forgetting the direct connection with source, and then journeying through remembering and awakening.
Beautiful.
So, and I would say most of the star seeds who awaken are those who are here to be of service. And the ones who are kind of more here for experience are ones who are kind of, I don't know about that star stuff. That's not really for me. They actually have roots in the stars. It's just not really that beneficial to remember that and to experience that now, because they're more here for the spiritual experience. Sorry, for the physical experience, opening to spiritual. And then the next step is like opening to galactic. So.
Yeah. Melanie, I so appreciate you because you have such a great vision of the big picture of things. And I feel like when you can span the camera out like far enough, things start to make sense. And I think that's why, I mean, I love people who are so detailed, and it's like there's such beauty in the detail and the minutia and the finite, the fractalization of everything. But as you span out, I do believe that a lot of our worries come from just not being able to see. Like our vision is too narrowly focused, and I think it's really wonderful to have people like you who are here to help us see the big picture, to help alleviate some of the worries and the stresses, because we can't see around the corner. Because maybe our journey really is to be more narrowly focused. But again, to have people here that are to just remind ourselves, like, hey man, there's a big picture here. Well, we got to stop seeing division between ourselves, because if you span the camera back far enough, you start realizing there's no division at all, and it is all this one interconnected thing of beautiful uniqueness and beautiful color, beautiful experience, beautiful expression, and that means even the dark colors, and I think that whatever we would call that, even the darkness is here to help us in many ways. Like I almost want to say, like, thank you to the schoolyard bully who helped me realize what a little bitch I was being. Forgive me for saying that, but it's so true. Uh-huh. Like sometimes I'm really grateful for those who try to victimize me, because it helps me then to see my true power, and I think all of us are experiencing that right now. And I'm not saying that we should condone what the bullies are doing, but on some level they are really truly serving a purpose in terms of our own ascension process. And I think it's a fascinating reality we're living in. And I so appreciate you. And I'd like you just to end with, why should someone come check out askangels.com and your work on YouTube and Facebook, and where can people find you? And we'll leave with that.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I think that if you're interested in beginning to tune into the higher levels of love and light and vibrant living within the physical, that is all possible. And it's truly accessed by shifting your perspective, getting out of the mind, entering into the heart, opening up to the light. And when you do that, there is this incredible, vivid, fulfilling, magical world that awaits. I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/askangels, or if you want a free guided MP3 meditation, check out ask-angels.com/love. So yeah, I think the heart is such a key. If we're able to return to love, return to presence, keep our heart open, love ourselves, we then come to a point where we can overflow love, and that overflowing of love and positivity and sending forth blessing is truly how we as individuals are able to make a difference in the greater collective field of all. So thank you so much for having me on your show. It was awesome getting to talk with
great conversation. We will definitely have to do this again, because honestly, I could have kept going. I have there's so many topics to talk about. And the cool thing is in some ways, both of our work is a current event. I mean, things change, and there's always new things that the world is dealing with, that we are dealing with. It's like this ever evolving peeling of the layers of the onion. And so I would love to have you come back on, you and your husband, to have such amazing perspectives. And it was really great to have a conversation with him. And it's so interesting, your team as a couple, the work that you're bringing to the world, and how different they are, and yet how similar in many ways they are, and the different realms that you play in. I mean, Miles is playing in helping people grow in prosperity in their physical world, and their, how do they build their businesses, and the work that they're doing. And, you're helping people build, through their spiritual realm, and really you're both doing the same thing in many ways. Someone could watch your videos and you get an idea of how to better improve their business, and vice versa with Miles. Miles talks about stuff where you go, oh my gosh, man, I had a spiritual awakening listening to what he's talking about. So you guys are an amazing duo, and I'm just really grateful to know you both. And so thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome getting to talk with you more. And yeah, we'll definitely have to talk some more. This was fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome.